Chairman and committee members. My name is Kathryn Robb. I'm the National Director of the Children's Justice Campaign. I'm a national expert on statute of limitation reform and other types of child protection legislation. I have testified in over 35 states, written a lot of bills, edited a lot of bills, and I am testifying today in support of SB 589 and 590. I'd just like to share a story. I've been doing this work for, again, over 20 years, but I would like to share a personal story quickly. I'm a mother of 5 children and 1 grandchild recently. 2 years ago, in June of 2023, my oldest son came into my office and he said to me, "Mom, do you remember that time I was really sick and you and Dad took me to the ER when I had a high fever?" And I said, "Yes, I remember." And the doctor told my son's father and me that he was taking him for a test. He was very, very sick. And my son shared with me, through a flood of heavy tears, that the doctor took him to a dark lit place of the hospital in the basement and sodomized him. He was 8 years old, an absolutely perfect little boy. His trauma did not surface until his late 20s. And that was over 20 years ago. So the reason I'm sharing this story is not just that it's personal for me as a national expert and as a mother and as a reasonable woman and as an attorney who believes in due process. I'm sharing this because in the late 1990s, I didn't know that I couldn't trust an ER doctor. And certainly, I didn't know the data then, right? Now, I've been doing this work for 20 years. I didn't know the data on child sexual abuse. I didn't know, the clergy abuse in Spotlight that many of us have seen. I didn't know about Jerry Sandusky and Penn State. I didn't know about Boy Scouts of America or Larry Nassar or the Kanakuk camp. But I say to you that I do know now. We all know now, and you know now. The data indicates that about 1 in 8 children will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. Most predators have hundreds of victims. Victims suffer in silence because of the trauma. The average age a victim comes forward is decades after the abuse. My son would be one example, but there are countless others. It takes until age 50, 60, 70. Sometimes these victims go to their grave with this horrific secret. The cost of this epidemic is staggering. So I just say to everyone here that we know the data now. We understand that this is a silent epidemic, one that affects all children, regardless if their parents are Republicans or Democrats or independents, whether they are Black, white, Asian, whether they are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist. It is a ubiquitous problem. It is the silent epidemic of our time. I share this also because there's a national trend here where legislative bodies are understanding this data that I just quickly went through. So right now we have 33 jurisdictions that have passed revival legislation. We have 21 jurisdictions and the federal government that have completely eliminated the statute of limitations. We have several states that are passing what I would call a zero tolerance legislation, which is complete elimination prospectively and a permanent window retrospectively. And basically what lawmakers are saying is we've had enough. We've seen the data. We hear the stories, we watch the news, day after day after day. It's never ending. It's an epidemic. And we are taking a position of zero tolerance on this national epidemic. I want to share that statute of limitation reform serves three really important public policy principles. One is it educates the public on this national epidemic. People need to understand this so they can protect their children. It also, very importantly, shifts the cost of this epidemic, which is enormous. I could share tons of figures on the cost of this. It shifts it away from survivors, victims, their families, and Missouri taxpayers, because they are paying a big part of this bill. And finally, it educates hidden sexual predators. You know, we hear a lot about the money and bringing these claims. I talk to survivors all over the world. Sometimes hundreds a month call me and reach out. One thing I hear again and again and again, almost verbatim from a survivor is, I just don't want this to happen to another child. Not, I want money. That's not what this is about. They see their voice protecting children in the future. And only you can give them that voice, because the power rests with you to change statute of limitations. These are arbitrary, in-house, in-court rules, right? And we're talking about a type of tort or civil wrong that is very different than a slip and fall or a fender bender case or a breach of contract case. We are talking, sadly, about the rape, sodomy, and sexual assault of our children. We should have different rules for that. I just want to touch on, if I may, just a couple of concerns that can come up. You know, we often hear, oh, the courts are going to be flooded. Well, we've looked at data from many, many states, and it is simply not the case. You know, a lot of times we hear, oh, the court's going to be flooded, and it's really hard for me to prove a negative, right? We just don't see it. Many courts are dealing with this fine. Heavy populated states like California and New York have passed this type of legislation. A very small part of the population have moved forward. The courts have handled it just fine. I believe the judiciary can handle this, and they have in many other states.
While your time has expired, I'll let you a couple seconds just to kind of wrap up.
Sure. So I would just like to address, if I may, quickly what was just the prior testimony by the insurance lobbyist, with all due respect. As to the criminal argument that we have that we have the criminal system to help with this problem, I would just say a couple of things, that the criminal system has limitations. One, we all know it has a higher burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The majority of child sexual assaults do not move forward to prosecution. 9 out of 10 sexual predators will walk free. So it is just not a safe system. It doesn't have the power and the muscle that the civil laws give us. And to just briefly address the issue about insurance, which I think is an important conversation. But, you know, I often think about bad drivers. If you're a bad driver, your premiums are going to go up. If you're a really, really bad driver, you're going to be uninsurable. We should treat institutions and YSOs that deal with children the same way. If you have good, safe practices, procedures, hiring, responses in terms of child protection, you have nothing to worry about. Your premiums are not going to go up. You're not going to deal with, more claims. You don't have to worry about that. I'd also like to point out, Chairman, your point about knowledge of harm. So for all the attorneys in this room, we know that knowledge equals notice, and notice equals duty, and that would trigger a negligence claim. If you know that children are being harmed in your institution, I don't know how else to say this with all due respect, that's negligence, and you are putting children in harm's way. Yes, you should be held accountable, regardless of the insurance issue. Just very quickly, I didn't realize I was going to be testifying on both of these bills at the exact same time. I just want to share that NDAs are not appropriate for child sexual abuse claims. Maybe for a company like Coca-Cola or something like that, right, to hide the ingredients in some sort of product. NDAs shield predators. They cover up, and this is really frightening, prosecutable crimes, felonies against children, and they conceal negligent acts and practices by institutions. They also re-traumatize victims. When we cover up and have secrets, we basically bring these victims right back where they were when they were children. They are silenced, they can't come forward, and therefore children in the future are in danger. Silence protects sexual predators, not our children. With all of that, I am in support, and I hope we can move forward in SB 589 and SB 590, and I'm happy to take any questions, and I thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time and your testimony today. I'll just wrap up. I know we have a lot of witnesses today. I do think it is a damn shame that parents cannot trust doctors. They can't trust counselors. They can't trust anybody in this day and age, and I absolutely believe there should be some teeth to our laws to stop this from happening. Any questions? Seeing none.